Hello everyone, and welcome to my Duel Today official news channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. A wedding is approaching, a blizzard is developing, and Beverett is growing increasingly upset. And all of that implies, well, I'm not really sure what it means. Despite my bewilderment, I feel like a lot of the days of our live storylines are coming to a close. That's kind of thrilling. Moreover, Eric might be reconsidering at last. I guess this week we found out Julie despises children. She had been living with Chad and the kids for a while, so it wasn't surprising that she was tired of the young ones. And now that they're residing at the Kiriaki's mansion, which must be substantially larger than the Horton home, they're packed. By Friday, they had made it clear that Julie just wanted to return home, but at that point, I also recognized that the whole thing was a ruse to get her up to the Horton cabin at the same time as Johnny and Chanel, so they could, get snowed in. Chanel was a little alarmed when Johnny gave her his best impression of an ant. Look, my antennae are right here. According to spoilers, Chanel will become lost in a snowstorm next week, and Paulina, who is isolated following radiation therapy, will assist in finding her. And all of a sudden, I'm concerned that her conversation with Marlena on her potential conduit to the spiritual realm may result in her seeing visions of Chanel. I'm interested to see where this is all headed, but only because I don't know what the ultimate goal is in this situation. How does Julie fit in? The whole Clyde at the cabin theory is obviously a hoax. Heck, it appeared like he was simply hanging out in the park based on the call we witnessed with Ava. I had assumed that Chad would kill him, but now that Ava has told Harris about the most recent demand, I'm beginning to wonder if he will be the one to kill Clyde. However, it wouldn't be in the course of duty, which would mean Harris would be terminated, and he would lose his badge and maybe be sent to prison similar to what happened to Lonnie. A nightmare for weddings. I'm going to start crying. Maggie refuses to wed Constantine. Not at all. She isn't that innocent. I will only accept this if she says, "Aha," at the wedding. You fool. I've been leading you around the entire time. Leave my sight now. But since she's been telling everyone that she has feelings for him, we know that's not the case and that doesn't make sense. So I'll simply cry instead. To be clear, I am aware that Constantine will not prevail, especially in light of the recent plot point in which Maggie lost everything. What's driving me nuts is the way they've been undermining Maggie's character to get her to believe his, frequently absurd, reasons. I will therefore be left with a bad taste in my mouth, even when this story ends. I hope it happens before the wedding, but spoilers have me concerned. However, Thomas might be the story's rescuer from the most unlikely of places. There isn't a single more explanation that comes to me for him finding Constantine's card. Even though I find it funny that Thomas is in possession of the pawn, I'm hopeful that he'll come through for us and manage to finish it in time to prevent Maggie and Constantine's wedding. I imagine them all there, with John and Steve, at the ceremony. After the pawn becomes agitated and everyone starts asking what Thomas has, he replies that he found it in Constantine's room. At that point, chaos ensues and Maggie calls off the wedding. And the setting. In any case, it's very, very nice that John and Steve are now taking the time to figure out what exactly occurred with Katerina. It's also a big relief that Steve told Kayla that his mistrust of Constantine hasn't changed. Perhaps Constantine will lower his guard now that he believes he fooled Black Patch into believing he did it. Controlling your anger. I'll retract my theory from last week that Bobby might be in charge, but I don't think Everett is aware of Bobby. Not intentionally, anyhow. The closer they come to the reality, the more strongly I believe that part of him, perhaps the Bobby part of him, pushes him to reject the concept. Therefore, Bobby might still be having an impact on Everett, even though he hasn't fully appeared. I'm not going to sign your divorce papers, but how about we just act like we're no longer together? How come? Not good? However, I do not subscribe to the belief that Beverett is a single person living a double life. If that were the case, I think Everett would be more composed in his denials, but recently, he gets too worked up when Bobby comes up. However, sensing something for Jada? Bobby seems to have hardly touched her at all, based on how badly he treated her, so why would Everett? Realizing the light. Is Eric understanding at last? He has happily ignored Sloane's lack of desire for their child, and he accepted her explanation about the rent just as readily as I had anticipated. However, I'm pleasantly surprised that he continued to look into it and found that the numbers simply don't match up. Leo, you might be the reason Sloane is ultimately apprehended, my friend. It's possible that the drop in blackmail proceeds is too little, too late. Sloane, there are so many numbers. Oh my God. I'll simply take your word for it, because I have no idea what any of this means. Jill Johnson/JPI is credited. Of course not yet, even though next week's spoilers indicate Eric is dubious. However, as I speculated earlier this week, this might be the beginning of the end if it makes him more alert and causes him to start focusing more on Sloane and her falsehoods and contradictions. Random thoughts. I believe that EJ's DA phase is coming to an end because of his attempts to take over as interim CEO of Demise, Paulina's mounting irritation with him and his press conference, and Kristen's call for Wei Shin. The Demise might be ready to get fascinating again based on the casting news, which seems to indicate that Gabby will be returning soon, and the fact that Remington Hoffman attended the show's celebration of its 15,000th episode, which suggests Lee is most likely still alive. The way Tate and Holly were discussing each other still seems strange. Saying, "We can't see each other anymore," they rushed into each other's arms. Before, you weren't seeing each other. However, as Abigail put it, they are now young and in love. Hi there. We got a scene with Maggie and Holly. They recalled that they are connected. I visited Greece. Although I am aware that there are numerous reasons to move to the US, Constantine seems to be making a significant leap from living in Greece to saying, "Oh, Salem is so beautiful, I want to stay." Greece is not Illinois. Following Ava Vitale's assistance in leaving the residence of Trip Johnson and Wendy Shin, Harris Michaels will plan with her the best way to obtain Gil Carter's Black Book for Clyde Weston, James Reed. As Ava and Harris prepare to breach into the bistro and do one last assignment to get Clyde off her back, that will call for some stealth. Day's spoilers indicate that Chad will enjoy a father-son bonding session with Thomas Demise, while Marlena Evans and John Black spend some time with Jude Brady. Fans of DOOL can also anticipate Constantine Meliunis losing something important, which will be a troubling finding. Is it possible that Constantine lost the red card that gives him access to John's programming? In any case, Maggie Kyriakis will choose to take extreme measures in order to maintain Constantine in the nation. Maggie will consent to marry Constantine, so they will get to work quickly on wedding preparations.